power through my thoughts. God gives me power through my thoughts. God gives me power. Choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. Choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. Choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. Choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth. Through my thoughts, God gives me power. 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 Through my choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. Through my choosing my thoughts and feelings, I can change my life. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth. All power is given to me, both in heaven and in earth.
Welcome to the Unity service this morning. We are each an essential part of the energy that is unity on the Eastern Shore at this moment. We celebrate each other and the Spirit of God around the world and with all others. I have a couple of announcements for us. On Wednesday, we have the prayer meeting at 9 o'clock, and is opening a room for that purpose for 20 minutes or so, daily Wednesday prayer service. And the quest is at 1:30 on Wednesdays as well. If you would like to stay and visit after the peace song today, the room will remain open for as long as there's someone here. We can catch up with one another. Pull up our first positive affirmation, and we will honor that together. We lovingly and gratefully
the
the presence of the divine in our
midst.
And our purpose statement is here as well. Our purpose is to foster a new level of spiritual awareness through worship and fellowship, and to lift one another to a Christ-like maturity. Open up. Denise Rossier.
When a step seems too hard to take, every turn feels like a big mistake. It makes you wanna close your eyes and hide. Trust yourself, even if you're scared. Don't give up, don't give in to fear. All the strength you seek, you'll find inside. Make a statement, don't hide yourself out in the open. Step into the spotlight and shine. Be the change, fall like a domino. A chain reaction that sets the world aglow. Be amazed at how it falls in line.
You are more than you are. We celebrate our powerful facet this month, and is to remind us with this very regal, powerful purple. Whenever you see it, lots of flowers now that are purple, powerful, powerful. And we have affirmations. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. We know God blesses all special intentions in our prayer box, and that God's perfect plan is in action. We are alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. The word of the day today is thankful. Thankfulness is my heart's natural expression. I need no special reason to be thankful, no list of blessings to inspire gratitude. Unity author Reverend Eric Butterworth wrote, "One can be grateful with the same spontaneity as being happy. It simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy. With a thankful mind and heart, I release worry and frustration, trusting that my every need will be met. I discover more of God's presence in myself and others everywhere I go. I see possibilities for good, even in challenging circumstances. Eager to share my thankfulness, I welcome opportunities to be of service to others, just as I gratefully accept blessings shared with me. I live in the flow of life, love, peace, and abundant beauty. I am thankful. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you." 1 Thessalonians 5:18. We're so thankful to have Sharon Sinclair all the way from Canada with us today. We're going to have a song, Let 'Em See You Strong, and move right on into Sharon's talk.
Let 'em see you're strong. Let 'em see you're willing to keep going. Let 'em see your power comes from somewhere they can't fathom. Let 'em see you smile when a tear might serve you better. The road is long. Let 'em see you're strong. Let 'em see your burn. Let 'em know they can't put out your passion. Let 'em see your fire comes from a calling that's forever. Let 'em see you fly when falling comes so easy. It's how you learn. So let 'em see you burn. The darkest night can't hide the smallest flame. Oh, and darling, there's only one candle with your name. So let 'em see your light. Let 'em see how God just keeps you shining. Let 'em see your best, even when you don't feel like trying. Let 'em see a star. You're a star that was born to be a beacon, shining bright. So let 'em see your light. Ooh.
Well, everybody, I am filled with gratitude and thanks for your having me back again. And the music is so perfect, really, for my message today because I was trying to think of what I could bring you that might be of some value during this time. And I kept coming back to two basic themes. One was time, and one was light. So I've kind of blended it together, and my topic is the time of our light. As we've seen in Unity, they choose purple for the color of power. But since I had nothing purple to wear, I thought maybe I could initially put on these Mardi Gras beads that were actually caught at a parade in beautiful Fairhope. And I must mention that they were caught at some degree of personal peril to me, because earlier in the parade, one of those plastic cups that the societies throw caught me in the corner of the eye. So ever thereafter, I would reach up kind of in anticipation, but a little trepidation. Uh, but this pair came right to me, cut right into my hand. And I know that Unity designates power as um, the color for purple, purple for power. But actually, in the Mardi Gras color scheme, purple represents justice. So I consider these beads to be poetic justice. And I hope that they will empower me to bring you something worthwhile today. And by the way, did you know that the Mardi Gras color of green represents faith and gold represents power? So colors have been known to have different connotations, and I'll be referring to that later today. But first, let's start with a prayer. And I'd like to begin with one of my prayer poems titled Life's Ledger. So I just welcome you to settle back and relax comfortably. Close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and I hope these words are also words from your heart. Dear God, thank you for the gift of this new day with all its promises and all its challenges. May we cherish this gift for the incredible treasure we have received. May we hold it prayerfully in our hands with the care and reverence it warrants. As we carry this gift of time throughout a new day, may we be fearless in our faith, not tentative in our trust. May we lay before you our petitions and concerns in perfect confidence that you are listening. As we reach eagerly for our blessings, may we be prepared to return to you all that we have and all that we are. May our faith deposits overflow with gratitude. As we bring to you our weaknesses, may we be empowered by the light of your love. May we never doubt that by your grace, the world will somehow always be in balance and no one's account will ever be overdrawn. Amen. So I feel really, truly blessed to be with you today through the miracle of technology. And I'd like to share with you one of my favorite stories. You may have heard it before, but if so, then I hope that it has that comforting note of familiarity. And if you haven't, I hope the words resonate with you as clearly as they did with me the first time I heard it. It's called The Love and Time Story. Once upon a time, there was an island where all the feelings lived: happiness, sadness, anger, and all the others, including love. And one day it was announced to the island that it was going to sink, and all constructed boats and prepared to leave except love. Love was the only one who stayed. Love wanted to hold out for the last possible moment. And when it finally became apparent that the island was truly sinking, love began to look around and ask for help. Richness was passing by in a grand vessel, and love called out and said, "Richness, can you take me with you?" But Richness answered, "Oh, love, I'm sorry. My boat is filled with gold and silver. There's just not room enough for you here." So eventually, vanity passed by, and Love decided to ask Vanity for help. Vanity, can you take me with you? But Vanity said, "Oh, love, you are all wet, and my vessel is so beautiful. You might get it wet. I'm sorry, you cannot come with me." Sadness was passing by, and Love asked Sadness for a ride, but Sadness said, "Oh, love, I am so sad. I have to be by myself." And Happiness came by too, but Happiness was so happy that she hardly even saw Love asking for help. But eventually a voice was heard. "Come, love, I will take you." It was an elder. So overjoyed was Love to be rescued that by the time they reached dry land, she forgot to ask who it was that had helped her. But another elder came along, Knowledge, and said, "The person who helped you, the person who helped you, love, was Time." And Love said, "Well, why would Time help me?" And Knowledge answered with great wisdom, "Because only Time is capable of understanding how valuable love is." And isn't that the truth? And sometimes when I hear that story, I think those two concepts could even be flipped. And it was Time who was so reluctant to leave, and Love was the one that rescued Time. Because as I read once, there is so little time to love. And I feel that that is really true. And that's why it bothers me a lot if I see conflict within families or communities and throughout the world, and even with our own concept of self love. I just think that there is so little time to love. So we shall do what we can to not squander any of that time. When we think of time as a universal concept, then there really is no limit on our soul's experience of time. Our soul dwells in the realm of eternity. Just as William Blake wrote one time when he said, "To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." So I think it's good to be comforted by the thought that we have eternal time for our soul's development, but at the same time, to try to maximize the interval of time we have for this particular physical incarnation of our soul's journey, because for that, there is a limit. It's that little dash, between the time of our birth and the time of our death. And if I become a little bit more aware of that distinction, when I see statistics like the average life expectancy, which I seem to be rapidly approaching. So I'd like to focus today on the importance of shining our light as brightly as possible during our relatively short visit to Earth. A few years ago, I was amused by a story told to me by a friend right here in Fairhope. Some of you may even know her. Her name is Ruth Lamont, and Ruth and Ed are great friends of mine. And I preserved it in a little rhyming story called "The Gooder You Can Do." So I'd just like to share it with you. A dear friend related recently a charming tale of former days when her work as a fledgling teacher gathered rather dubious praise. She had drawn her best bunny rabbit on the chalkboard for all to view when a grade 2 student inquired, "Is that the gooder you can do?" Such a candid observation from a youngster's innocent heart delighted the child within me and caused some musings to start. Perhaps we should ask ourselves daily if our actions have met the test. Could the critic who lives within us be assured we have done our best? It's so easy to be half hearted and procrastinate in our ways without seizing each fleeting moment, being grateful for all our days. Let us live our lives to the fullest. Let us say when the day is done, "I have put forth my greatest effort and worked with a spirit of fun." Then one day, when our journey is over, and we stand in God's heavenly view, we can answer with childlike conviction, I did the gooder I could do. When I think of people doing the best we can do with the challenging circumstances of life, and never more so than during this pandemic, I'm reminded of our existence as divine light, shining forth from the source of all light. We are an integral part of that divine light, that divine spark, a spark which we can protect and expand with our thoughts and actions. The concept of light has fascinated me ever since I was a child. And my teacher explained to me that um, light is actually composed of colors that manifest under certain circumstances, as for example, when the sun comes out after a rainstorm, or when a ray of light passes through a prism and miraculously a rainbow of colors appears, often identified as 7 colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, in that order. But according to Bob Myers, a display engineer and technologist, the notion that there are only 7 colors is quite erroneous, really. And it dates back to Sir Isaac Newton, who apparently thought there was a spiritual significance in the number 7. But in reality, the spectrum is continuous and it has as many colors as you can distinguish with it. Myers maintains that for most people, that number is probably in the dozens. So, if we apply this idea to people, I think that we often don't allow all of the colors of our spectrum to shine visibly in the world. And maybe we should be trying to manifest a broader range, the full spectrum of our personal power and potential. As Williamson expressed in The Limitless Self, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. She goes on to say that we're here to manifest the glory of God that is within each of us. So playing small really doesn't serve the world. So why do we do that? Why do we hide our light sometimes? Why are we sometimes afraid to let our light shine? Are we worried what others might think about us? Do we think that it's somehow too boastful or full of pride? Or that we might alienate ourselves from others in our peer group by following a different path? Do we feel inadequate? Are we afraid of failure, of having our light extinguished by disappointment if it doesn't work out? Are we simply tired? As I read once, my spirit is tired of my life. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, nor do they light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. Just so, our light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father. Remember that little song? Maybe you learned it as a child, that this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This gospel song was apparently written for children by Harry Dixon Lowes in 1920, and it ended up being the anthem for the civil rights movement. It reminds us to let our wonderful, caring spirit come out for all the world to see. In one version, the song contains the verse, Jesus is the light, I'm going to let him shine. I had a wonderful experience once that illustrated for me the power we possess in the belief that Jesus is the light. And I'd like to share this story with you. I was first introduced to unity on the Eastern Shore through our beloved Shirley Gear at an author's reading in downtown Fairhope one day. And I happened to notice on her pamphlet of introduction that she was not only the Unity Minister, but she was also an author and a registered hypnotherapist. And that intrigued me because I had been seeking some alternative solutions to a skin problem that was really a chronic condition for me, type of plaque psoriasis, and it was very irritating. So I was open to alternative intervention. So I called Shirley and made several appointments. And as what usually happens in therapy, eventually get around to examining our past relationships. And I had been having a history of holding on to some anger and some resentment towards my father. So, in one of my states of deep relaxation, I was encouraged to try to have a conversation with my dad, who is now deceased. And I attempted to do that. But what happened was a conversation, an encounter that wasn't really positive for me. And it was kind of upsetting. So Shirley then suggested that I try to have a conversation with Jesus and invite him to come and converse with me. So as I opened myself up to that encounter, I remember so vividly seeing the image of Jesus that I remembered from our little tiny church in the small village where I grew up called Ceylon, Ontario. And I think really each of us has an image of Christ as an earthly being. And so I did ask for Jesus to come and talk with me. And it's very, very vivid, very clear in my mind that we sat and we talked. And I asked him not just about my father, but also about the concept of darkness in the world. Because about 45 years earlier, I had been really troubled by recurring nightmares. And it was like there was a force of alien like creatures around my bed. And I had to struggle to try to wake up as the only way of making sure that I could stay safe. And that was a really troubling experience to me. So, what I remember hearing, and it's so clear and comforting to me, but the voice I heard said, "Yes, my child, there is darkness in the world, but with me there is only light." And then I had a vision of him passing to me a staff of white light for me to carry with me, and then I would never be afraid. And when I asked about the creatures in the nightmare, he said, it really doesn't matter now because they'll never be back and they have never returned. So, as you can imagine, that was a very powerful experience for me. And it was made even more meaningful when the next day I was touring around Fairhope and I stopped into one of the jewelry stores. And I was kind of drawn over to one of the display cases, and my eyes fell upon a brooch. And I don't know if you can see this very well or not, but I hope so. It's a reminder to me. It's an American jewelry maker, an artist who produced this, but it reminds me very much of a warrior woman. And sure enough, she's holding a staff of light. And what was even more coincidental is that one of the gemstones is Ceylon sapphire on, let's see if I can find this now. It's Ceylon sapphire. Oh, I can't find it, but it's on a type of coral. And as I mentioned before, I'm from a tiny little hamlet called Ceylon, Ontario. So, of course, I had to add it to my personal supply of things. And it's a beautiful reminder of my encounter with Christ consciousness. And just very shortly after that, as almost a sense of closure to this experience, one morning I was down sitting at the pier that's by the Magnolia Beach townhomes near the Legion. And in the evenings, that group of people would sometimes go out to the pier and watch the sunset. And for me, it was like an experience, a worship experience. So I began to get up in the morning and watch the sun rise. And one morning, I'm sitting there and playing some soft music and doing some kind of spiritual poetry, reciting that in a little ceremony just by myself and all my non human companions, like gulls and herons. And there weren't many people around at that time. But I was deep in a meditation when suddenly I heard this splashing sound. And I thought that was really unusual because the water to me had seemed very calm that day. And I opened my eyes, and almost within touch distance was a beautiful dolphin. And it did this kind of arc dive that, is so familiar to that species, and so amazing. And it was so overwhelming to me that by the time I could activate the video function on my iPad, it had swum back out to the middle of the Gulf. But it was just so startlingly beautiful to me that I thought, oh, I wonder if I could recreate it. I hope I didn't dream it, and maybe it would come back the next day. So the next morning, I created the same scene. I was playing the music, but this time I was ready with my video. And sure enough, I heard this familiar splashing sound. And I was able to get a couple minutes on video of my thanking that beautiful creature for returning and bringing me some confirmation that all is well. And it just always reminds me that our heavenly light manifests in very mysterious ways. And I always had the sense that this staff of light was not given to me just for me alone to hold, but for me to pass on to people, especially if they're troubled. And often I do this silently if I'm in a situation with somebody who's expressing concern, because the light will speak for itself. But in case you've never imagined the light of Christ in this particular image, I offer my story of the staff to each of you today to carry with you as part of your own personal connection to the light of the world. And I hope that light continues to spread, somewhat like on Christmas Eve, when you're in the sanctuary, and usually when the service concludes, it's brought to darkness, and then one candle is lit, and the light is passed from person to person until the whole sanctuary is bathed in this warm, soft light. And usually Silent Night is sung, and it's also peaceful and hopeful. So I really wonder, about that divine light. Because on the one hand, we know that we are part of the divine light, but sometimes it seems to me that we lose our brilliance. And one of the reasons I think our light can start to fade is because of something called perspective. It's easy, especially during difficult times, to be sucked into what I think of as the swamps of sadness, that great phrase from the movie The Never Ending Story. We get drawn into the swamps of sadness, and we can find ourselves becoming negative in our thinking. And when that happens, do we have the power to change our perspective and to begin to see the world in a more positive light? Or are we simply defined forever by our basic personality type? It's really evident, really, that some people do seem to be more positive and optimistic in their in their outlook, and others seem a bit more pessimistic in general. But I think we can all agree that optimistic people tend to appear happier. And isn't that what we all want? Just to be happy. I've often heard parents say that about their children, that they just want them to be happy. Financially secure, yes, and stable and productive members of society. But bottom line, they just want them to be happy. And yes, I believe we do have a choice, and we have the power to be more optimistic if we choose to do so. And we can ask for help in that direction. Apparently, Charles Fillmore's favorite affirmations are displayed in the reception area of the administrative building at Unity Village. And maybe some of you have even been there and seen this domed room with the affirmations beautifully displayed. It's called the Room of Shining Words. Isn't that lovely? The Room of Shining Words. And here are two of the affirmations. God in me is infinite wisdom. He shows me what to do. And God is my help in every need. So we can ask for help to change our perspective on any given situation, to ultimately bring us into a better sense of harmony and happiness and peace with others. I remember once I wrote a poem called Perspective, and it was inspired by looking out of an upstairs window down onto the lawn below. And through the night, I was delighted to see that a large number of dandelions had appeared in the lawn, and they seemed to have such happy faces. Some people don't like dandelions, but I think they're lovely. And apparently, they're very useful and helpful for the earth. So here's perspective. The dandelions burst forth today, tiny yellow suns in a vast green sky, like constellations, bravely charting a new course in the heavens. Overhead, a blue sea holds wisps of white foam, like ships sailing cautiously to an unknown harbor. Right side up or upside down, the world keeps turning images of beauty, paradise found. And in these days when our whole world seems upside down, I think it's important to try to stay positive and focused on beauty and light, the kind of light that no amount of darkness can ever dominate. In my morning vigils on the Fairhope Pier, I was fascinated by the light of the sunrise and the gradual appearance of colors that began to be associated in my mind with various concepts. And it occurred to me that we each carry colors every day in our heart, colors that filter the essence of our soul's identity and influence our perspective on every experience. For example, today I carry yellow, the sudden clarity in the fog of indecision, enthusiasm's spark in the dry straw of lethargy, the warm light of shelter in the window of a friend. Yellow, the silent canary in a tunnel of danger, the soft underbelly of fear, the retaliating roar of injured pride, the jasmine scented delight of anticipation, the life force of creativity that gently turns our face towards the sky. Today I carry brown, the fertile soil of our imagination, the gnarled roots of wisdom, the cascading fear in the erosion of courage, the crinkled leaf of fatigue, the quicksand of shame that holds hostage our faltering self-worth. Brown, the trophy room of ruthlessness, the border fence of indifference, the myriad shades of our humanity, the handshake of agreement in a fair exchange. Brown, the teeming rivers of providence that supply our every need, the clay of confidence that transforms our lives. I was very aware that the colors that we assign in society to various emotions often have a dual association, some positive, some negative. For example, yellow might be the warmth of a sunny disposition, but yellow is also associated with cowardice. Similarly, red might be the rose petals of love that are scattered before a bride, or it might be associated with the poisoned apple of selfishness. Green is associated with the color of new growth and vitality, but it's also the color of envy, the jealous green eyed monster. And because I tend to see the world in metaphors, this type of duality translated to me into an analogy. It's as if every morning we are presented with two sets of eyeglasses, and we get to decide which ones to wear every day to interact with our world. I may have expressed this concept before in one of my presentations because I'm not a really good keeper of records. But if I have, I hope that it bears repetition today. Through the one set of glasses, we seek beauty everywhere, and we find beauty everywhere. We see the opportunities in the struggles, the blessings in the turmoil, the uplifting possibilities in every challenge. I call this pair of glasses the lens of a vibrant energy, LOV E, the lens of vibrant energy, the love lenses. Through the second set of spectacles, the troubling realities of our world are viewed everywhere in their most worrisome details. Complaints, regrets, and resentments consume most of the waking hours. I call this pair of glasses the lens of stolen time. LOST. The lens of stolen time, the lost lenses. And overuse of the lost lenses can blur our vision, causing us to miss opportunities for happiness in the time of our light. So, if I could leave you with one thought today, it would be to make a conscious choice each morning to reach for the love lenses. These lenses are very powerful. In fact, they're dual purpose. They're not just like a one-way mirror through which the vision only goes one direction. Through your love lenses, you can see the world outside, and the outside world can see you and see how the real you is and how brightly your light shines forth in everything you do and say. You've probably read that the eyes are the window of the soul, and through these windows, our light shines forth. So it's important to keep those lenses in good repair. If something is smudging your vision, keeping you focused on the negativity, and preventing your soul's light from shining forth in all its brilliance, try to be proactive. Seek help, if needed, to address the problem and wipe those smudges away, because the time of our light is calling us forward. If your love lenses become temporarily lost, I often lose glasses. But if your love lenses get lost, don't worry. Fortunately, the greatest ophthalmologist of all time is always on duty. His rates are very reasonable. You're automatically enrolled in the benefit plan, and he guarantees his work. You only have to make an appointment and request a renewal of a prescription. So now I'd like to take us into a meditation with a poem that came to me one day when I was walking into the basement of my sister-in-law's house. That morning, she had two heating professionals come to replace the furnace. And I asked them if I would be, in their way at all if I was rummaging through some storage units for something I needed. And they kind of laughed and said, no, but they might have to put me to work on the furnace. So I assured them that my skill set would probably not be useful to them in this regard, but I'd recite them a poem if they like. And one of the gentlemen was a father-son duo, and the father's name was Stan Haggett, and he immediately said how much he liked poetry and that he had written some himself. So later that day, he actually returned with two poems. One is a very delightful poem he had written about all the variety of apples, and the other was a poem his father had written, William P. Haggett, who had passed away on October 16th, 2009. And Stan's dad had been a minister who traveled a lot in his ministry, and apparently he had even traveled down through the states and the southern states at different times. So maybe indeed he might have been close to where you are in Alabama at one time. Stan found this particular poem handwritten on a tablet that his father had used to write notes during his time as a traveling minister. And I feel really honored to share it with you. So first, let's take some deep breaths. Stretch to relieve any tension and just settle back comfortably and just prepare to have a guided visualization. It might be a good idea this morning to imagine yourself sitting comfortably on a sandy beach early in the morning after a storm has passed, and the air is so fresh and invigorating, and the water is calmly lapping the shore. The water I see is always a beautiful emerald green, like on the emerald shore. And the sand is so sugar white. As you take some deep breaths, try to hear the beating of your heart or feel it as a sensation in your chest. And maybe the waves, as they come onto the shore, have that same rhythm of your heartbeat, taking you into a deep state of relaxation, releasing all the stress and fear and negativity of the world. Let it flow away from you. And in a deep state of relaxation, I invite you to consider these beautiful words in Mr. Haggett's poem. While the night gathered round me in the storm of doubt and fear, and my soul cried within me, and there's no answer to my prayer, and my mind and flesh have failed me, and my strength is almost gone, and I tremble while the storm rages on. I cannot see around me. All is darkness in the gale. There's no moon or stars above me, and my ship is oh so frail. And the demons haunt my spirit as my soul cries for the dawn, and I'm so frightened while the storm rages on. And just before the dawning is the darkest of the night, and something tells my weary soul, it's the coming of the light. And I know that very soon I'll see the rays of the sun, and I take courage, for the night is almost gone. Then the light will give me comfort. It won't be much longer now. Then I hear a voice so tender, a gentle hand upon my brow. A gentle touch I've felt so often, and it dispels my fear and fright. I have watched you. I've been guiding. I'm the captain of your boat. In the times of storm and danger, I would never let you go. In your times of hardest trials, I was near you, heard your plea, but then you had forgotten I'm the master of the sea. Reassured that we'd never have to fear the storms of life, I want you to try now and envision a crescent moon as the sole inhabitant in the theater of the cloudless sky. Slowly, the Sun Queen, draped in midnight blue, makes a dramatic entrance upon a waiting stage. Slowly, she unfurls her splendid robe to reveal a lining of exquisite pinks and yellows. When fully extended, the robe stretches across the horizon, its hem encircling the sky as far as your eye can see. Every morning, across eons of time, this performance has been repeated with comforting continuity. Like a fashion diva on a runway of sky, the Sun Queen daily displays her extensive wardrobe with its endless variety of textures and colors. Today, we carry purple, the purity of our most holy thoughts, the robe of honor on shoulders of integrity, the voice of truth in the clamor for justice. Purple, the signal light of intuition, the sacred flame that feeds our spirit, the aching beauty of the heart's most valiant sacrifice. As you see yourself bathed in a soft, purple, healing light, let your prayers for others be offered to the beautiful sky. Prayers for family and friends, for anyone struggling with medical issues or emotional pain, or financial uncertainty, for the leaders in our community, in our country, in our world. Now let yourself see healing light encircling your loved ones, your community and country, and spreading out to encircle the earth, bringing an end to this terrible pandemic. If you are comfortable doing so, see yourself passing a staff of healing white light to anyone you know who can benefit from awakening to the Christ consciousness that manifests in each of us. As you relax in meditation, may these words by Max Ehrmann refresh and comfort you for the week ahead. Let me do my work each day, and if the darkened hours of despair overcome me, may I not forget the strength that comforted me in the desolation of other times. May I still remember the bright hours that found me walking over the silent hills of my childhood, or dreaming on the margin of a quiet river, when a light glowed within me, and I promised my early God to have courage amid the tempests of the changing years. Spare me from bitterness and from the sharp passions of unguarded moments. May I not forget that poverty and riches are of the Spirit. Though the world knows me not, may my thoughts and actions be such as shall keep me friendly with myself. Lift up my eyes from the earth, and let me not forget the uses of the stars. Forbid that I should judge others, lest I condemn myself. Let me not follow the clamor of the world, but walk calmly in my path. Give me a few friends who will love me for what I am, and keep ever burning before my vagrant steps the kindly light of hope. And though age and infirmity overtake me, and I come not within sight of the castle of my dreams, teach me still to be thankful for life and for times old and memories that are good and sweet. And may the evening's twilight find me gentle still. Very slowly, I invite you to leave the shore of your beautiful beach. Inhale that invigorating fragrance and make your way back to your own personal sanctuary. See yourself empowered to take whatever action you might need to let your light shine with divine brilliance. And wherever you are, please open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for each of you letting your light shine so brightly and lighting my life.
We're so pleased to have you with us, Sharon. Thank you very much. Always a joy.
Thank you, Doreen.
This is the time we give our love offerings and listen to All That I Am by Daniel Mahmood. The here for you.
My body, my soul are part of a perfect whole. My heart and my hands are serving a sacred land. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. My thoughts and my mind belong to eternal time. My words and my song, you're writing them all along. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you.
Father, we know that every good and perfect gift comes from you. We give thanks for your many blessings and lovingly return a portion of them to your service. Now we'll reminded of the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. And we'll have the peace song, and then I'll open it up for conversation after the recording has stopped.